Perhaps fourth time is a charm. I have been having a lot of issues recording this video, including the last one, which was a big tech issue. So let me try one more quick attempt at this independent game spotlight. What am I talking about today? I am talking about The Straight Way Lost. This is an adventure or mini campaign based around the ideas presented in Dante's Divine Comedy. It is compatible with 5e, but much of the game, much of the book is system agnostic. There are, in the back, statistics for some monsters and NPCs and the like. And in the beginning, there is a section of some suggested rules modifications, a few limitations, a few campaign-specific additions to fit this with 5e. However, I think this is a prime example of a book that would be very easy to convert to another system. I would argue because of the nature of Dungeons and Dragons, in all its various formats, I would argue that other systems might be a better choice, but I also understand that 5e is the big game out there, and if you're an independent publisher making something and you want to have it seen, connecting it to 5e makes perfect sense. I would argue, I think that basic role-playing would be the better system to use for this. There may be others, but in my experience, basic role-playing has a lot of the structural rules and rewards and encouragements that I think would fit well with this and with its themes. That includes things like Call of Cthulhu's Sanity Tracker, which is kind of analogous to a dismay tracker in this, where the more your character is exposed to the horrible things they might see in Inferno, for example, the less psychologically strong they become, So the other, of course, being that at its core, Dungeons and Dragons, in all its various incarnations, is a game about killing monsters and taking their stuff. That's the core game loop. It's the encouraged behavior. It's what the rules reward. Go out, kill monsters, take their stuff. This is not a campaign or long adventure where going out, killing monsters, and taking their stuff is going to get you very far. This is a campaign where investigation, negotiation, role-playing, because it is sneaking, because you're dealing with, first off, you're dealing with political situations and situations where violence is not going to help. But then you're also dealing with beings beyond the ability of mortals to have a real effect. Lucifer is in this book. There are other, characters. There are archangels and princes of hell and all sorts of things in this book. They're things that you can't kill with the sword, or shoot a fireball at. So a game system where the primary function, where the primary mechanic is about killing monsters and taking their stuff, isn't necessarily the appropriate thing for this. But again, I understand why it's here. But also because of the way it's written, because most of the material in here has no statistics attached to it, no particular necessity for game mechanics, you can move this over to whatever system you feel is more appropriate. And I think that's fantastic. The artwork in it is gorgeous. The writing is really solid. There's a few hiccups here and there, a couple of double words. If I remember right, I think I saw a couple double words and stuff like that. But my goodness, you see you see that in big publishing houses. So I'm not going to ding the book for that. But the artwork is great. I think it's well organized. Now, you're going to have to do some work as a GM. You're going to have to. What I would do is I would take like a lot of 3x5 cards and things like that to make up for all of the NPCs that I might have. You know, it's a map, but it's not spelling the whole thing out for you. So as a GM, you're going to have to do some work, but I think it's pretty great. As I said, the setting there's a lot inspired by the Divine Comedy. I think I said this is the 4th time I've recorded this video, so maybe I said that in the previous version, but I'm pretty sure I said that it is. And it's set in a fantastical version of Florence in 1492. It's fantastical in that on the surface, it appears to be much like historic Florence. However, due to things that are setting specific, that are written up in here, you do have some of the demi-humans, like elves, like dwarves. Specifically, one of the ones that I'm less familiar with because it is a relatively recent, I say in like the last 20 years, I think, addition to Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm not a big follower of Dungeons and Dragons, but the I've drawn a blank on their names. The demon people. Nope, blanking on it. Anyway, the tieflings. They're in it, although I think their name is slightly modified. But but there's a really cool lore reason for why they're here. Then there's also a new group, the Nephilim, that are in here, which again have a lore reason for being involved. And but again, there's a fantastical underpinning to it, including that, you know, hell, purgatory, and the earthly paradise are physical locations that you can travel to in this adventure. That is also fantastical. So I think it's a really cool product. I think it is something that, for the right table, is going to be a great game. I think it would be heavy on role-playing, exploration, decision-making, avoiding combat, avoiding trouble. There are certainly opportunities in it for action, and there are opportunities in it for combat, but combat's probably going to be something you'll best avoid most of the time. And if you, again, have murder hobo characters, if you have players who just want to kill stuff and steal everything that's not nailed down, they're not going to do well in this game, and it's not going to necessarily be an appropriate adventure for them. But if you have a group that wants to get into real thoughtful stuff and character depth and are willing to suspend their disbelief, this is a fantasy setting that is based on history, based on a real place, based on, in some cases, real people, but with a very fantastical bent, and the assumption that your characters live in this world and believe in the world as people in 1492 Florence would have believed in the world. So it is a thing where most of your characters are likely going to be Catholic. It is a thing where, the actual God, as understood by Catholics in the Middle Ages, exists. Lucifer, as understood by Catholics in the Middle Ages, exists. Those things are physical in this game. So, if you're able to suspend disbelief and enjoy that, this is very cool. So I would definitely recommend this. And I think if you're an RPG fan who just really likes collecting and reading really interesting books, this one's worth having on your shelf. Obviously, games are best when they are brought to the table, but realistically, what do a lot of us do? A lot of us buy the books and we read them. We read them like we would other books, maybe thinking about them in a different way, but we read them and we put them on our shelves. And I think for people like that, I think this is going to be a big one as well. Again, very cool art, very neat ideas. It also prompted me to go back, man, and Florence is such a great city. I actually went to Florence, and I think it was 8 years ago. As I'm recording this right now, I think it's 8 years ago, because I think 8 years ago yesterday we flew to Florence, and I absolutely love that city. So anyhow, cool stuff, something different, something from some independent publishers, and I think that that's worth tracking down. It's worth supporting. We want more voices out there. The more voices, the more interesting stuff. This is an opinionated adventure, an opinionated mini campaign, and we need more opinionated stuff. Less beige, boring, rote, corporate nonsense. Something that challenges you, that makes you think. I think that's great. So I recommend this one. It's my little indie spotlight for right now. I will try, since this is multiple times I've tried to record this, we'll see once I get it posted. I'll try to put links to my written review of it, and there are links to its Drive-Thru RPG page in there. So that's it for me for now. Take care. I'll see you in whatever my next video is going to be. I have no idea. Take care.